Hello? Hello, hello. Yes. Okay, I'm testing. Can you hear me? Hello? Oh. Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good.
Okay, is mine loud or is it like chill?
No,
It's
it's like
like
there.
it's like chill.
It's like
Mm,
sound.
yeah.
Shut up.
Well then, we're a minute early. It's
We
all
are.
well and good.
We're a minute. Oh my God. So yeah, we are a minute early, but we also haven't posted anything for you guys in the pod just because you got our last announcement. We are going to be kind of just stepping back with the amount that we are doing because we're working on the book and everything like that. It's going to be holiday season. You know, a lot of things going on right now. So,
Yeah, we have a
yeah.
lot of personal projects and stuff in the work as well, so we couldn't do everything.
And um, it's fine. It's fine. You guys will listen to good stories regardless. We'll have good stories for you. So
Yeah.
until the new year, we are going to be doing just one live every month on the first Friday. Um, as you can see, this is the first Friday of October. The next live would be on November 4th, and then December 2nd.
Yeah, so we'll see you
Cool.
guys then. Keep an eye on our YouTube because we're gonna hopefully be putting some stuff up there before the new year. And yeah.
Yeah, don't forget you can check us out on Google Podcasts, Samsung Podcasts, Listen Notes, Spotify, Podbean, of course, and YouTube, as Michelle just let everyone know.
All right. I think is that all the things we have to say, I think?
Well, yeah, the only thing is to have like a little recap of what happened last time we had like a party with everyone.
I don't remember what happened last time.
So,
hmm
last time on Fabulous Duo,
hmm
we had a bout of depression and we had a story about potato prohibition.
Okay.
So we had that going on, and that was
Fun.
fun. I thought was that the previous one? There was also we did the garden gnome for our live in
Yeah,
September.
I think the last thing I remember reading was the mist or the fog, I think, was the one that I wrote.
Yeah, the foggy one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this week we have our prompts that are new and prompts that were missed. That was good.
Yeah. Accidents happen. It's fine. We have so many thoughts rummaging around. It's like, oh wait, oop.
Yeah, yeah. So then, do we want to start?
Do we
Do
doobie
we,
doobie doobie?
how do we, how about I think I went first last time, no?
No.
No? Oh, okay. Wait. Because last time I read mine. So how are we doing this?
Well, so you're gonna read mine because we're going back to our regular formatting. So you'll read mine and I'll read yours.
But who's going
And
first?
you're gonna go first because I had a solo week by myself.
Okay, logic. Okay, we'll
Yeah.
start with Kristen's story. Do we want to like wait? It's been like 4 minutes.
We can start up at like 8:05. Just, just 2 more minutes. For
All right,
anyone
let's
who's not
chill.
currently in Eastern time zone with us, we're here hanging out in the nighttime. I want dinner, but
Yeah.
I don't know what I should have for dinner.
Same. I'm kind of like I don't really have I'm limited for options here. I have sausages, cheese.
I would love sausages right now. I have more sushi because I bought about 60 pieces of sushi for lunch.
Yeah.
And you don't consume 60 pieces of sushi in one sitting. But in two, maybe. No, I'm sure it's for the family. It's for the family.
Mm.
But yeah, I don't know why. I could still really go for a burger, but I don't have any bread. I don't eat
Yeah,
bread.
you know what? You know how they have like that shortage on sriracha sauce?
Why is there a shortage? What's happening?
Well, I heard about it like probably during like August or something, but they were
Okay.
having due to droughts or floods, one of them, they were having issues with their crops of
Oh,
chilies, and so there was like a warning that there's going to be a shortage. But also, I don't know, do you still see sriracha sauce in your grocery store? Because I don't.
I do, but that's because I live in a place that sells spices.
Yeah, like they had it here for a bit, and now they're gone.
They waited until you got there, and then they were like, you know what?
Let's have a shortage.
Let's have a shortage just
You
because
know
she
what?
loves this.
Let's have a global shortage right now. It'll be hilarious.
It'll be so funny. No, I have sriracha. I have sriracha. I have my delicious gochujang sauce, so I can put that in everything. My fridge right now is filled with an assortment of spicy things.
Yeah, like I usually do like for quick food, it's like bread, sausage, cheese, sriracha sauce, and like a little bit of mayo. And that's dinner or whatever meal I require at the time. But not this time. I don't have any sriracha sauce. What am I gonna do?
Oh no. Make your own.
With what?
I don't know. Do you have like peppers?
No. Shit. Anyway.
Great. I was actually contemplating making my own Coca-Cola today because I didn't want to go to the store. And like this child would like to have some like soda. And I'm like, okay, well, I could just make a soda at home and not have to go to the grocery store. I was already picking up the sushi for him. Like,
Mm.
do I have to go somewhere else? But then, I was like, okay, I can either do that or I'll just go and buy the stuff because if it doesn't taste right, he won't want it. I was gonna basically take cinnamon sticks and so cinnamon sticks, lemon juice, lime juice, orange juice, a couple of different like spices in there, um, some water, of course, some sugar, turn that into a syrup, and then once it gets nice and like, gets like aromatic and all that stuff, I would just mix
Mm.
that into like the liquid and that becomes soda. Because we have like things like club soda, so it'll still have the fizz,
Mm-hmm.
but um, I didn't want to risk the child not liking it.
Yeah, that's always a risk. Children. No, I'm kidding.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm gonna try something right now.
If it's a sound effect, I swear.
Well, you better start swearing.
I don't do that. Oh, you got it.
Yeah. Look at that. We've
Look
done
at
it.
that. It's a little loud though.
Oh, how's that?
Oh yeah, that's better. Are you just playing it from your side?
No.
It's actually on the soundboard?
Yeah, it's on the soundboard now. Now we have it forever.
Oh,
Are you
that's
sure it was
amazing.
loud? Because I don't hear it at all now.
Oh no, it's still kind of loud well, at least for me. I'm using the app. I don't know about you.
Okay, I can't hear it at all.
Yeah, no, it's still a bit loud, but it's okay.
I can't turn it down more.
Dun, 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 dun,
Oh, I
dun,
can do this. I can hold on.
dun, 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 dun,
Is it? Okay, yeah, on
hold
my end
on.
it sounds like nothing.
Dun, 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 dun. Yes,
Oh,
get
it's
it,
time
get
now
it.
is Bob.
Yeah, it
Shala
is currently Bob o'clock.
Babakla.
Okay, cut the music. All right, it is Bob o'clock, and would you like to go ahead and kick it off?
Yeah. Okay, so this week, Kristen's story. I closed. Oh, it's over here. Kristen's story was deleted by me. Kristen's story is from a prompt that goes like this. A fairy falls in love with a historical figure and tries to find a way to travel in time to when that person existed. I really did give you that, didn't I? The name of the story, or the title of the story, is A Midsummer Night's Scheme. And here it goes. His words are so eloquent. I wish he would write about me, Tilly sighed, flipping through the pages of her book. Every day she would lay on a lily pad reading, while picturing herself as the main character in the story. Her heart would flutter as she read all the tales of romance and adventure. Her favorite stories in particular were ones written by William Shakespeare, as his words seemed to just flow and send tingles through her entire body. None of the other Fae could understand why she was so obsessed with these stories, or this man for that matter. Some of the elders, who had been around for a long time, had seen him in person, and even mentioned that he wasn't very attractive, and that his mind was somewhat twisted. No matter what they told her, Tilly would just hold her books tight in her arms and dream of a life with him. Every fairy, once they come of a certain age, are sent to a magical rune circle to find what job is best suited to them going forward, which will allow them to best benefit their society. There is always the option of not going to the rune circle for assessment, but this usually results in you having to leave your home and become an adventurer for at least a few years to prove that you are worthy of your Fey ancestry. The reason for this is that the Fae were very proud beings and thought of themselves to be blessings to the realm. Anyone who would not show full appreciation of their existence by being productive and mastering a craft had been considered an insult. Back in the Dark Ages, they would hold them down in front of all of the Fae folk and rip their wings out, having them wander endlessly disfigured. Slowly over time, the ways of old had toned down, but there was still shame to anyone not wanting to be assessed. Tilly, who was so enamored with her beloved Shakespeare and his works, had never thought too much on what she would want to be, or if she would just leave her people, taking all of her books and living a free life. Not wanting to disappoint her family and attempting to face some form of reality, she pleaded to the elders. If I could just meet him or get some sort of closure on my love, I can focus entirely on being a productive member of our society. I swear it. The council all looked at her standing there hugging another one of her books as she spoke to them. Some had envy in their eyes that she was able to love so deeply and that they could not. Some had pity that this failing is disillusioned by the tales she keeps reading and longs for that which she could never have. However, while the majority of the elders gave her these stares and scornful glares, one elder in particular had been filled with intrigue and raised her hand to her while questioning. Young Tilly, what would you benefit from this? How would you get there and how would you get back? Tilly was not sure how to answer the elder, and the others stopped their whispers while turning to look at him. The elder smiled and nodded his head as if he had figured something out. What if, wow, that was my voice. What if I sent you back to about the year 1590? Yes, that would work. If I sent you back to that time, you could spend some time with William. He had a very mysterious grin on his face as he offered this to her. The entire council started an uproar of voices, discussing amongst themselves. He's crazy! Why waste an opportunity like that for this little child? How would he even accomplish this? The voices rang out all around Tilly until she closed her eyes and shouted, I agree to any terms you have. I want to go see him. The crowd went silent again, and the elder clapped. It is done. We will meet back here tonight for the ritual. Tilly had packed a few things and fluttered over to where the elder had requested her to be. The council room looked a lot different at night. The windows were all covered and closed up so not a single soul could look in, or out for that matter. As she stepped into the circle where the citizens usually stand while discussing with the council, the door behind her had shut, and the elder walked in alone. Tilly turned and gave a rushed curtsy. "Welcome, elder. Thank you for meeting me here." He bowed his head slightly and smiled. "Come now, child. While the night is young, we must perform the ritual." He began sprinkling some powder around Tilly, then started sketching little runes into it. She stared at the process in awe, as the dust that was scattered had this beautiful shimmer, almost as if it was like pouring out rainbows. A light began to shine within the circle surrounding Tilly. It was the most magnificent sight she had ever seen. She was still curious and asked, "Elder, what is this magic? I thought it was impossible to time travel." The elder smirked, and right before she was zapped away, she heard the faint sound of his voice. "The wings of fairies have so much power in them." A light in the sky opened up, and Tilly fell to the ground in an unknown place. Where she landed had a small set of stones in a perfect circle around her, and mushrooms growing in abundance. Tilly looked around a bit, then fluttered into the sky to try to find the nearest city that she could, and immediately recognized the town from all of her research. The elder did it. He really sent her back in time to meet the man of her dreams. As she was flying over to the town, she realized being in this form would cause some disruption if she met him like this. Tilly may be young for a fae, but she was still at least in her early 70s. So she has had plenty of time to learn all sorts of different fae magics. Ensuring the coast was clear, she landed just off the side of the road near a bush. Her wings wrapped around her, and she grew taller to the height of around 5'6", with her wings becoming an extravagant dress. Entering the town with a huge smile, Tilly's excitement grew more and more with each step towards the location she knew her love would be. Heads were turning as she skipped through the street. Both men and women were staring at her lovingly, thinking of what ways they could woo this ethereal creature. Tilly ignored them all, not purposefully, but she had only William on her mind. Upon reaching her destination, she entered this large studio-like building and could hear a burst of voices from down the hall. She strolled through the opened door, witnessing a large stage with multiple people in pairs reading through lines on a script. Her face felt hot, and her body was vibrating from the joy of being able to see a stage of actors preparing for another performance. She carefully and quietly tried to walk towards the stage to take a seat where she could enjoy the scene, when suddenly a man came out to her. "What indues thee to mine own stage?" Tilly looked around and saw William sitting in front of the stage, but his gaze was fixated on her. She tried to keep her composure, but words would not come out. She sat there, stiff, with her head down, trying to pretend she didn't hear him, until she saw a pair of boots in her field of sight and looked up. There he stood, staring down at her with a look of almost disgust. At least it started out as disgust, until he saw her face and outfit. His expression softened, and he kneeled down to her. "Doth not beest afraid. This is a did close practice, but seemeth thou art maddest for the stage." Finally she was able to calm down, and her lips began moving with a soft sound coming out. "Sorry, I'm a big fan of thee." She stood up and turned to walk away, apologizing further. "Stand ho, thee may stayeth and gaze the performance," he said with a warm tone. Tilly was filled with glee as she was able to witness their practice performance up close, sitting next to the man of her dreams. "What is thy name?" he inquired to her casually while they watched. My name is Titania, Tilly responded with a lie without understanding why she did. Titania. How quite quaint. He gave a slight smile. He invited her back, letting her know all the dates of the practices and performances, but she let him know that she was just visiting and was not from here. There was something about her that he could not avert his gaze when they were chatting, so he offered to show her around and handle her lodgings while staying in town. Day after day they got closer and closer, bonding over his past works and discussing potentially new ones. Tilly realized that she might be altering the future with her actions, but the elder would not have sent her here if it wasn't safe to do so. The longer she stayed, the more entranced those around her had become with her. One evening, she found herself playfully running through a forest with William and another man chasing her, while a woman chased the man. The woman seemed to be upset that the man was chasing Tilly, but it seemed she was only focused on William and did not even notice. They all frolicked through the forestry until they made it out to a beautiful field of flowers, where William and Tilly dropped into the grass laughing. The other man had been dragged back by the woman chasing them, and in the distance they could hear scornful words being exchanged. The pair got up from the grass and made their way back to town, talking about their dreams and ambitions. Tilly mainly spoke of one day becoming a great writer as well, but then it slipped from her lips that she wished to be with him forever. William reached out to Tilly and gently stroked her cheek with a look of longing and regret in his eyes. I am already betrothed to another, but mine own heart yearns for thee. If it be true under any other circumstance, things would be as different, but alas, we can only be as together in our dreams, he said, gazing into her eyes as they shimmered from the tears welling up, as she knew this was wrong. She placed her hand on his, as it was on her cheek, then she leaned in and gave him a kiss on his cheek before running to the city gate. The tears streamed from her eyes, bouncing off of her cheeks as she ran to the spot she originally landed in. Before stepping into the circle, she looked back at the city in the distance once more and wiped her tears. With that final goodbye in her heart, she stepped into the circle and closed her eyes. She could hear a humming and feel the vibrations of engines surrounding her. The scent in the air changed to something sweet and familiar. Which upon opening... Oh, okay, no, sorry. She could hear a humming and feel the vibrations of energies surrounding her. The scent in the air changed to something sweet and familiar, which upon opening her eyes she could now see she was back in the council room. Tilly had left the hall and went back to her home quietly, reminiscing on the adventures she just had. Everything around her seemed the same, and she had a sigh of relief that so far it does not seem that the trip to the past had impacted the present. Exhausted emotionally and physically, she walked into her room, but was surprised to see a large book on her bed. Tracing her fingers across the book cover, it was one that she had not seen before. A Midsummer Night's Dream. The end.
Yay.
Hey! Hello, everyone. What did you think? Also, let me know if this is too loud.
Nice. You're just like, I can't take...
I don't hear anything.
Because, I don't know, maybe because, I don't know, it's loud to me. Like, when you speak and the music's going at the same time, it's hard to hear. Like, I can hear them both clearly, but it's like one is definitely competing for the other. It's not like like natural. It's like,
Okay, maybe I should adjust the volume and then put that in next time. But yeah, welcome,
yeah.
welcome. So we just read Kristen's story. And I don't know when you guys got in because I didn't see, but it was called A Midsummer Night's Scheme. And the prompt was a fairy falls in love with a historical figure and tries to find a way to travel through time to when that person existed.
Yeah. How did you like it though? Like what did it like?
I really liked it. It was cool. It was I like okay. I was like reading it and she's like Titania and I'm like, "Wait." And then there was like four people chasing each other in the woods and I'm like, "Hold on. This is very familiar." And then like
Yeah,
yeah, then I'm like, "Oh, you're doing the title of the thing."
exactly. And see, the thing is, there's so many dark elements in the story, but also I just like wash it over with romance. Because like she's only focused on wanting to get to William and being with him. Meanwhile, her elder that just transported there, like her there, used crushed up fairy wings that were ripped off of previous people to do the spell to send her back.
Okay, see, I thought that he was gonna take her wings. I was like, "What?"
Yeah, so well, I mean, you've always like seen or heard that, Fae folk with their wings, they shimmer so nice, the light and stuff like that. So I was trying to get that across that as he sprinkled it in the circle, it was like pouring rainbows because, refraction and all the stuff, just natural magic and energy is floating in there.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but that's why like I also beforehand was mentioning like there were some darker times when people used to rip the wings out of the back. I mean, what do you think they did with them, right? They wouldn't just take the wings out and just be like, okay, garbage, right? They found uses for the wings. The wings had power, so they crushed it up and used it for spells. But it seems like this elder might have known something the others didn't, because this one felt like time travel was very, very possible, you know?
Mhm.
And yeah, that was like his thingy. So that was going on. And also, in actuality, Shakespeare at the time of this, so she went back to about 1590, and Midsummer Night's Dream was written anywhere approximately from 1594 to 1596,
Mhm, mhm.
um, which gave him plenty of time. And you see that scene of having the lovers running through the forest because,
That
uh,
happens in there.
yeah, that happened. There was a tricky little fairy who decided to mess up everyone's love and had two people fall in love with the wrong person, and one person was angry at the other person. And then eventually, at the end of the Midsummer Night, you know, everything's back to normal because they fixed it with their magic. They're like, oh, you're supposed to love you, you're supposed to love you, you're supposed to love you, you're supposed to love you.
Wasn't
Perfect.
wasn't in the original story, wasn't Titania the one that fixes everything?
Titania is the queen, and she is like, yeah, but I needed to
Yeah, no, I know,
have
but
like the
it's
fairy
still
part.
yeah.
Yeah,
You needed the connection, which it was. It was definitely, and I'm just like, yeah, if I remember correctly, it was that Titania fixed the whole thing that happened in Midsummer Night's Dream because of a lazy fairy, I think, accidentally like cast a spell on these humans that were napping.
exactly.
Yeah, and then Titania had to fix it and be like, okay. But yeah, no, definitely like naming her Titania was what started tipping me off, and I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, then I just loved how he told her like, he didn't even make any moves on her, although he was emotionally cheating on his wife.
Yes.
It was also 1590, so I don't think cheating mattered. But he still had that moral piece inside of himself where he felt like this is wrong, and as much as I want to be with you, I can't because at this time I believe he already had a child as well with her. Um, I'm not saying it doesn't happen in the world, but Shakespeare had a little bit more, um, had some good morals.
I
But
mean, yeah.
they do say that a thing about him, the reason why like he does have like that twisted mind. So like he did look at her with disgust originally, but after doing some research and stuff, it does seem that he is someone who is very much a believer in the physical attraction of things rather than like falling in love with the mental side.
I mean,
So when he
every
saw her, but
yeah,
that's the thing, he was in disgust. And then the second that he saw her, he was like, "You can come here anytime you want."
yeah,
And immediately was just like, "Let me pay for your lodging. Let me just handle all this. Let me just do this. And they ended up becoming so close, and like he said, the only way they could be together is inside their dreams, in which he made A Midsummer Night's Dream, um, going on about like the story of what they like their love and stuff like that.
yeah. That was
So
romantic. That was romantic. AF.
and my favorite thing is that every story, whether it be, one about romance or a horror or comedy or whatever, it doesn't matter. I always make sure that Michelle has some speech differences that make it harder. Like when I make her start saying other languages, or when I make her go, yeah, or, now I
Watch me.
had her do Old English.
That was some. I was like, what is even happening here?
Well, can you imagine if Shakespeare was like, "Hey, get over here. Come
Yeah,
on,
I
sit
can't wait.
down. Have a seat right next to me. Come over here,
Walk,
pal."
hey, that fine thing. Hey, that
Exactly.
bad.
Right? So I had to have him talk like that just for, time period authenticity.
He
You
should have just walked
know,
up like dost thou, dost thou.
he did, didn't he?
Yeah, he kinda did.
Yeah, he kind of did.
Yeah, you're right, he kinda did.
Also, on your story, you have an extra page, but there is, do you want to just
What?
tap that piece?
What are you talking about?
I am looking at your story right now because I'm getting ready to read it.
Yeah.
You have an extra page?
No, I don't.
Oh, what?
I've there's 2 pages.
I see three.
I don't know what to tell you. I see 2. I can't scroll down further. Maybe if I do this, is it still there?
Ah, there you go, gone.
Okay, I had 2 the whole time, but okay.
I only had two. Yeah, no. All right. So we do hope that you enjoyed that, because now we get to go into some. I don't know where I was going with this prompt that I provided to Michelle, but the prompt is: a person goes to Disneyland to find that Mickey and the gang are real, but they're slaves. So, for legalities, I guess, things have been changed, but the story is called Childhood Dreams. Disney World had always been the place I chose to go for family vacations. Every summer, one member of my family would be given the option to pick where the family vacation was going to be. Every time it was my turn, I would pick Disney World. I went to school to become an animator, and my goal had always been to work for Disney. I studied and built my portfolio for decades until finally my dream came true. All those years I had been studying, I was absorbing all the information I could about them. Sure, they didn't have a super great track record in regards to shady business practices, but what corporation did? I was able to sweep all of that under the rug in favor of my childhood dreams and memories. The day I stepped in the studio was the best day of my life. I was surrounded by the best equipment money could buy: computers, editing softwares, motion capture and equipment, and the works. I felt like a kid in Disney World again. It was a month or two into my new role, and I was adjusting really well. I made new friends and worked well with my colleagues, and there was even talk of giving me the lead in some upcoming projects. I was thriving. This was what I had been working towards for the past decade of my life, and it was finally mine. I was on cloud nine until that one night when I realized that curiosity really does kill the cat. I never expected to understand or know every piece of equipment as soon as I walked through the door on my first day. As time went on, I was able to familiarize myself with pretty much everything in the studio, but there was always this box of tools that didn't look right. It was definitely motion capture equipment, but the shape of the helmets and bodysuit were horribly disfigured. I thought that they were just faulty or broken, but time and time again, when I went into the storage room to get anything, there they sat in a box in the corner. They always looked like they had been moved around, like someone was using them. Of course, it wasn't strange for someone to use equipment in the storage room, so I brushed off the crawling of my skin and just thought maybe it was meant for a specific costume. With a job like this, anything was possible. Then that fateful night arrived. The night where I just had to get some answers for some reason. I was working late to try and get in the good graces of the higher ups when I noticed the light in the storage room was on. Thinking that one of my friends also stayed back, I went to see who it was. I poked my head in the door frame only to see my boss walking towards me holding that box that made my that made my friendly smile drop from my face. "Oh, hey, the fresh blood," my boss beamed at me. That was my nickname around the office, and until this moment, it was endearing and not threatening at all. The proverbial cat had my tongue as if it knew that it was about to die. "Oh, are you curious about this?" he asked after a brief silence. "You know, I've heard a lot of good things about you, so it was only a matter of time until you got clearance for this." He trailed off as if he was second guessing himself. "Follow me. I have a surprise for you." Without another word or thought in my head, I started to follow him down the hall, further than I knew the hall went. I was following behind him when he stopped in front of a staircase with red lights, almost like it was lit with "on air," but there was no sign. It was just red. We started going down the stairs, and without looking at me, he started to tell me more about the surprise. "From what I hear, you used to force your family to go to Disney World so much that you were practically raised there," he laughed. On a reflex, I started laughing too, partly because he was laughing, but mostly to try and calm the raised hairs on the back of my neck. It was like my body was telling me to turn back with every step, but what could I do? I couldn't possibly turn back. This was my childhood dream. The stairs seemed to extend into forever, and just when I was convinced that we were in some kind of time warping portal, we stepped down onto concrete floor. It was quiet, save for my boss's rambling, whose name I never learned. As I followed him, I heard a faint laugh coming from ahead of us. It was a laugh that was so familiar to me, but yet so strange. It was high in pitch and cute and short. It was someone I definitely knew, but it was somehow strained and forced. We finally reached something that looked like a huge boiler room with a stage in the center. In the middle of the stage were a bunch of cages with chains extending high into the ceiling until they disappeared into the darkness because the red light didn't travel that far up. On the other side of the cluster of cages was a figure that I couldn't make out. Go on, take a look. You can help me set up this equipment, my boss encouraged. If my legs weren't shaking as much as they were, I might have turned on my heel and ran back the way we came. But then again, this was my dream. I couldn't turn back. Now, my boss was following me as I walked onto the stage to get a closer look at the cages. There were bulbous looking figures tied up in white sheets. I couldn't tell if they were alive. The red light was making it hard to see if they were breathing or even moving. My legs slowed unintentionally because at the order of someone on the other side of the stage, the highly pitched cute chuckles started up again. Okay, do it again, but this time make it happy, the person ordered. As I turned the corner of the cluster of cages, there he was, the mouse himself, tattered and standing there with proportions that should only be allowed to exist in fiction. Trying to laugh that laugh I knew so well, but only letting out choking sobs. At the sound of their dear friend sobbing, the others wrapped up in sheets started sobbing quietly as well. At this point, my body was being held up by pure professionalism. Okay, maybe it needs a break. Take this time to suit him up, said the disembodied voice. Awesome. Do you want to equip him while I hold him down, or should I do it? My boss turned to me holding out the box with a smile on his face. I wanted to puke. I wanted to run. I wanted to hide. But what could I do? This had always been my childhood dream. The end.
What do you think?
That's great. I love it. It's a perfect way to start off our Halloween month.
That's great. Good.
Good. I definitely did enjoy that though, yes, because first of all, there were no names of the characters, so we didn't have to say like Vicky the Rouse and like,
I don't know why we would have to copyright the word mouse.
Just for safety.
For safety, in case they come for us.
Just for safety, in case, Vicky himself comes for us. But yeah, no, I really liked it because a lot of the times people do rationalize things that they see because they believe that this was truly their dream, truly what they wanted until they started seeing all that go away. It's just like everyone has rose-colored glasses when you're entering like a new job, and it's a job in an industry that you love, and it's also at a company you've always wanted to work for. And when you start seeing that break down in front of you, you don't really know how to react or respond. And sometimes you end up overly complicit. And especially in a situation like this, where it's just like, hey, I came to do some extra work, and next thing you know, we got Vicky and the gang.
Yeah. So that's what I did. I was like, let me make this horrifying, and then it just kept getting worse and worse as I was writing.
Oh, I could see their faces in my head.
Yeah, so they're definitely, they're supposed to be slaves, and so yeah, they live in cages. The idea is that the cages are strung up onto the ceiling, and they just kind of bring them down whenever they need them. And I was trying to like have that underlying thing of like blind obedience to like the company you work for or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, in this case, I don't think it was really blind. It was just kind of like he our character finally got to a place what that they've been working towards for so long, and it was going good, it was going well, it was everything they always dreamed of. They were able to like make things, create things, make friends and all
Yeah.
that stuff.
Yeah.
And who would think that the corporation they work for has like a boiler room where they force magical beings to like film themselves and be in TV shows and shit, So, yeah, as they were going like down into the boiler room and stuff like that, ever since they saw the box, they're just like, this is so weird and uncomfortable, and I don't know why, but I'm gonna, it's not a big deal. I'm at my, like, everything, the good here outweighs the bad. I'm working this job that I've always wanted. This is weird, but it's probably nothing. And then obviously, depending on the person, right? If you're curious enough about something like that you're just kind of like, it's like a train wreck. You can't look away. You need to like see, like, oh my god, like what happened? Like it's horrible. It's horrifying.
Yeah.
I want to know what's going on, like what happened, right? But in this situation, it's like if our character finds out what's happened, how are they going to feel? And for them, it's kind of just like, well, obviously, if I find out, I'm just going to know. What could possibly go wrong? It's just something, it's just a box of equipment. There's nothing, I should be afraid of, but they also can't shake that feeling. And as they were going down, their instincts are just like, this is no, we don't want this is no. But again, they were just like, well, if I listen to my instincts and if I listen to this voice in my head, I'm basically admitting to myself that there's something wrong with this company. But how can I do that when I've lived my whole entire life with this company as my goal? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, sometimes it gets to the point where, like, you know, if you're at this company and you're just like there and you're just like, okay, everything's fine. I'm gonna sweep everything under the rug. And then, someone you know leave the company and then you throw it at them all the time, being like, I can't believe they left the company. Yeah. So, yeah, like it's definitely a vibe. This whole thing, like I was just like, I could see their faces, and like I don't know if anyone out there has seen
Their faces.
just yeah, if you've seen their faces and you've seen like all the like those fun YouTube videos where people like redraw them, but in like very, very horrific ways and have stories like that where they're like on drugs and they're like,
I think I know the
you know,
exact thing you're talking about.
yeah, you do.
Yeah.
When Poofy is pimping out Vicky.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a lot of and then Moopy shows up and was like, hold on, where
exactly.
is Floopy?
It's a lot. And I could see those faces and I could see like the shaking. Like I literally see like a big open stage with just red lights and I just see cages and I can see a tattered giant like realistic disfigured mouse shaking, pieces of its ear chewed off. Like
I'm glad you can see
yeah,
what I was describing. That's all I can
yeah.
hope for as a writer.
Right? So it was a good time. I do have an overactive imagination. So I did play this in my brain as a movie while I read it. And I'm okay with that.
Yep,
So
that's how it was written. I literally was like, let me just, because I was like, I have no idea what I'm gonna do for this. I wrote like 3 other versions of this story, and I hated all of
yeah.
them. And then for this one, I was like, let me keep it like simple. And then I ended up with like a personal like tug and pull of morality, like a
Yeah.
personal character versus self versus yeah.
Wow.
Hmm.
Wow. It seems like we both wrote about dreams.
What?
And,
Yeah. I guess we kind of did, didn't we?
we did, they say you should never meet your heroes or something like that.
They do.
They do.
They do, and for good reason. For good reason, because
For good reason.
on one hand, they're a slave to a company, and on the other hand, they are everything you've dreamed
cheating
of
on their wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for next week.
Yeah. Or next time. Or next live.
Sorry, not for next
month. Yes.
So for next live, which of these prompts would you prefer? Would you prefer to have a world where knowledge is underappreciated due to being able to download everything directly to your mind? Or all previously extinct animals suddenly reappear slowly around the globe?
Either. Just give me one. Give me either of those.
So, next time we're here, Michelle will have picked one of those, and it'll be a surprise.
Yeah, surprise.
And what prompt do you have for me?
I have a person's shadow is evil, but no one believes them for you.
Okay. I can see that.
Yeah.
It's just like, everywhere, like, it's going to be like a very, very like exaggerated line of what evil is. It's really just going to be a person walking on the street and their shadow always is flipping people off, but that's
it. My shadow is
it's
evil.
not me.
My shadow is evil. It gives everyone the bird.
Right? A cop is going to pull someone over, like, I saw that. Your shadow, it showed me you were flipping me off. It's like, no, I swear it wasn't me. And it's like, look, your shadow's doing it right now. You must be doing it right in front of me. It's like, no, you see my hands.
Yeah.
Like, well, your shadow hands say a different thing. You're under arrest. Yeah.
His life gets ruined by a shadow. That's exactly the kind of demonic shit we want around here.
Exactly. And the shadow just like laughs and walks away.
The shadow walks away. My time is done here. Time to go.
Well, I could have left the whole time, but I liked following you. That's great. Okay, yeah, I could definitely work with this. And for our next live in the wonderful month of November, when hopefully things are nice and chilly, we'll have a very sweet story about a person's shadow being evil.
Yeah. Oh, man, I am in spooky mode. All of my stories are going to be wow.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's Spooktember, so gotta get it. Spooktober. Look, I'm in every month at once. I have transcended.
Ah, yes, Spooktomember-annuary.
Prill. Spook Prill.
Spook Prill.
Yeah. But
okay,
so my that everyone came in.
Yeah, thanks everyone for coming in.
And spooping with us.
And spooping. All right, well, let's I don't think we have anything else to say except for see you next time.
Yeah, don't forget you can listen in on Podbean, YouTube, Spotify, Listen Notes, Samsung Podcast, Google Podcast, and yeah.
All right, bye everyone.
Bye.